tuned in to the Cold Hard Truth, Cayman's #1 hard-hitting live podcast show, where we feature some straightforward conversations on political, social, and celebrity news and all things happening in the Cayman Islands and around the world. This show was created to give the people a voice and a means of being involved and informed without any filters. Sometimes it gets crazy, but we always keep it real. We bring you the tea, piping hot, so grab your favorite beverage and join the conversation via WhatsApp at 324-1612. Email tips at CaymanMarlRoad.com. Now, here's your host, Sandy Hill, broadcasting live from the beautiful Cayman Islands.
With the Queen's face on it, and
that is a good
put it on his shoulders, and that's how people are knighted.
If somebody knows, feel free to call us and let us know.
Yeah, I mean, we're just
clue us in.
Two ignorant Americans sometimes.
7:31 right now. It's Blake and Aaron.
Big news. I have some important news for you.
Interesting news.
It's Blake and Aaron's Spilling the Tea with Sandy.
Cayman's top news headlines of the day from CMR.
Good morning, Sandy.
Good morning, Blake and Aaron.
Hello.
Do you know how the knighting will take place for Alden McLaughlin? Does that happen on Heroes Day?
No.
Does he have to go to the UK? What's that?
I'm trying to remember. I did ask this the other day, and I feel like it's not yet announced how exactly it will happen locally, but it could be part of the Queen's Jubilee or whatever. It'll be a big celebration this year for her.
Yeah.
June, so it could be part of that event.
I see.
Yeah, but it's not a hero. Being knighted doesn't make you a hero, apparently.
And so he doesn't go to the UK. It happens locally.
I mean, I'm assuming there's maybe something that could happen in the UK as well, although I don't know if the Queen's actually knighting people in person, given the current situation with
I don't
COVID
think
and
she
her
is.
age and so
Yeah.
on.
And do you get armor as well? I don't.
Do you get what?
You get the armor and the
Yeah, I
stuff
don't
that
know either.
as a knight. Do you get that whole armor outfit?
Chain vest.
Have you not seen the video?
And no, which video are we talking
Yeah,
about?
I don't know. Yeah.
Oh man, listen. Okay,
Is there a video?
let's show it. I know it's really short, so I know your radio viewers won't have the benefit of this, but I think our laughter will show them what we're talking about. Hold on one second.
Wait, is this how you this is how you describe?
Yeah, this is the whole process. This is how it's gonna happen.
I see.
Alden coming back to Cayman after being knighted by Her Majesty.
No.
Is that a clip from Shrek?
I don't even know. Somebody
Who
put
made
that
that?
together. These people are so funny with some of the memes that they do, but it's like it's just gonna be,
Who made that? Yeah, that was from Shrek.
Was that from Shrek?
That was the king
Yes.
from Shrek.
Yeah, that's funny.
Okay.
All right, what do you got for us headlines wise?
Seems to know. I mean, we don't have anyone alive here who's obviously been knighted, so it's a mystery to all of us. It's gonna be quite an enigma.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be what it is with COVID. Everything has been changed different.
They'll send him the letter in the mail.
Yeah.
Congrats, you've been knighted.
Well, hopefully the mail makes it here because I'm still waiting on some parcels from the U.S.
Are you?
Yeah. 2 years later.
Headlines. What do you got for us?
So we actually had we talked about yesterday morning a young lady who was seriously attacked.
Yeah.
And we got a bit of an exclusive interview with her yesterday. She contacted us and she wanted to share her story. So if anyone cares to hear that story, that investigation is continuing. And the RCIPS has basically asked anyone else who apparently a lot of people may have seen this guy because he was, out and about on his bicycle on Monday morning, being very much like talking to women who were out trying to get some exercise and so on. So I think a number of eyewitnesses likely did see him. And so they're continuing that stalking investigation. So if you have any information at all that can assist the police in furthering their investigation.
Well, they've got the guy, right?
Well, they've got a guy.
Mm-hmm.
They've got to prove that in court of law. So,
and did she tell you anything that we didn't know?
I mean, she told us. Yeah, I mean, she told us quite exactly what happened.
Yeah, so I think
I was shocked at exactly what happened because I just didn't know. But this was a much more aggressive attack than I imagined based on the police press release.
Okay.
I know they said it was a serious incident, but then when they said stalking, you kind of think, oh, maybe he was just following her. Like he physically pushed her in the bushes and jumped on top of her, sort of thing.
Yeah. Well,
so it was very scary.
Yeah.
I'm glad
she's very brave. I must say she's a very brave woman. She, did what she had to do in the moment in terms of fighting him off.
Was this what time of day was this?
This was early morning, probably close to 6:30ish.
So strange.
And it's still a little dark at that time. I mean, actually, this morning it was pretty dark at that time because of the time how it is. And I mean, it's a lot of people are having to walk to work, and it's not even safe to do that anymore at 6:30 in the morning. Maybe that's the case for moving the time so that we can have more sun in the morning. I don't know, but then it would be dark.
I think that what's come out of this for a lot of women in the community, they are asking what options do they have to try to protect themselves. Like, is it maybe time to consider a little pepper spray or something? But
Air spray.
It was shocking, I think, what happened to her. And what I also found really, really shocking is how many cars she attempted to flag down after this assault. And people were like just driving by, afraid to stop.
Seriously?
I don't know. And people and cyclists who were also out at that hour of the morning saw her as well. And they kept cycling. And I don't know if they didn't understand what was going on or the injury, but if you've got someone in the middle of the road asking you to stop because they need help and they're limping and they're injured, you should stop and call 911 and
help people out.
Yeah, for sure.
So that was unfortunate, but she was willing to share her story with us. So it's quite an interesting story indeed. Of course, we continue to have community transmission. So since Friday, we've got 491 COVID cases. Again, the vast majority, 429 of those, are in the community. And that continues to be the trend. There was quite a bit of traffic yesterday at the South Sound Community Center for testing. And a number of people sent me, photos, and they'd ask us to stop by. So we did go by. One person indicated that her wait was an hour and a half to get PCR tested. And, some of these people, I understand the afternoon group are individuals who are who were positive and are trying to get, I guess, either confirmation tests or a follow-up test. So they're a bit concerned that, all these positive people are standing in line together. I think they've tried to kind of separate them, like they do a batch in the morning who are like the travelers, and then afternoon they have the individuals who are positive and need to verify the
That's what Aaron was saying yesterday. Your best chance, I think, of getting COVID is going to the
LFT sites or the PCR testing, because they're putting everyone. I mean, even my parents, they were put into a tiny little waiting room. There was no, you're going to be next, you're next, you're next. It was the doctor came out and said next, and if you weren't standing right there, someone would take your place, and you'd be there forever, because it was the first day. It was the Saturday crew that came in the first day, and it was packed.
There's no social distancing.
No social distancing. People are pulling down their masks, trying to figure out. Wait, so I've got to scan this code. Can you tell me what to do? Putting it back on. It's like, okay, so that's how everyone's going to get.
And these are people that are unknown if they have it or not.
They came in with a 24-hour negative PCR test, but anyway.
I think they need to tighten the protocols a little bit. That was my takeaway from yesterday. So hopefully the powers that be over at Public Health kind of look at how that's being organized, because I don't get the sense that anyone thinks that it's working. Like literally, I had people who live in the neighborhood close to the South Sound Community Center calling and saying, hey, I live in the vicinity. The parking is crazy.
I was going to say, where's everyone going to park there? You have the community center parking, and you have the beach right next door.
Right. People are parking all the way down by the Walkers Road intersection.
And you know what? That road is so narrow already. It's already dangerous for people walking or biking on that road, or even, moms pushing babies in a stroller or nannies pushing babies in a stroller. There's no room for people to park on the side, and then concentrating that many people into, it's not even that big of a space. The community.
I also know of people that have been tested positive on an LFT and called Public Health and not received a callback. So
I think they're
I don't know.
Overwhelmed. And to be fair to them, it's not necessarily anything that's unique. I mean, in the U.S., where they have all sorts of resources, but they also have millions of people, we see them being a bit overwhelmed as well. I mean, over the holidays, they were opening up testing and vaccination centers in the subway stations and so forth to try to expand the capacity. So, the entire world is obviously.
So I'm wondering how these numbers, how they're counted. Are these just actual positive tests that they're testing, or does that account for all the people that are calling saying, hey, I tested positive, what do I do?
Well, I think they haven't changed how they're reporting it, so they still are reporting some of the LFTs. So they claim that
so that's underreporting.
20 positive lateral flow tests were reported during that period as well, in addition to the 491 PCR tests that they would have taken.
So this wouldn't. So this doesn't seem like it would account for, Joe Schmo calling Public Health, going, "Hey, I've tested positive. What do I do?" and not receiving a call back. I'm doubting that that's being counted in the number.
Yeah, probably not if he's not received a call back. Yeah.
No, they're just saying, stay put.
Yeah.
We'll get TBD.
We'll get to you, and then 10 days goes by, and then you're good to go, and then you just never get a call.
Well, and that's the thing. Are you good to go? And what if you don't know? Like, are you afraid of prosecution? And so maybe you're not leaving because, are you just going to sit there by the phone? Be that like old, the old meme of a skeleton waiting by the phone for a phone call.
All right.
Because of old age.
We have another COVID-19 variant that has been discovered. So if you thought Omicron was the end of it, nope. Not quite yet.
Anyone thought that. This is the one. This is the IHU, or how do you pronounce it?
IUD.
This one.
The TBD.
SMH. I feel like there was actually more than one over the weekend. There was another one that began with a. Oh God, I can't even keep up. Honestly, this is so crazy.
Oh,
but
so
this
it's
one is B1640.2.
Yeah, that's IHU. It's
Ugh.
named IHU, the new B1640.2
So
variant.
it's French.
So far infected. It's from
So
Yes.
in southern France. The first case was linked to a person travel history.
And remember there was another one as well a couple days ago.
So this French variant, it's basically just a variant with an attitude. What you're saying?
You were so funny.
Oh man.
And in a bit of sadder news, unfortunately, there were 2 Jamaican nationals over the weekend who work and live in the Cayman Islands who were killed while going back home for a holiday visit. Really, really quite sad and shocking that we had to report on 2 separate deaths, like unrelated. One guy, had not been home in 3 years because of COVID, and decides to go home to spend some time with his family for the holidays. So 41-year-old Dervin Jones and his 40-year-old brother, Sheldon Jones from Westmoreland, were both shot and killed.
What?
Yeah.
Bad.
He's a construction worker here in the Cayman Islands, went home for the holidays. Unfortunately, he lost his life on Monday evening somewhere in Manchester. In Westmoreland. And then there was another gentleman, Romo Ham, who ironically is he's also in the construction industry here in the Cayman Islands. He's 50 years old, Manchester, and he also lost his life in gun violence in Jamaica. So
that's bad.
That's crazy.
No. Well, I hate to go out on that story, but we're going to let you get to your show.
Yes, got lots to talk about today. Have a good one. By the way, biggest news of all.
Yeah.
I should have mentioned this already, but CMR has launched CMR Daily Buzz. So in the evening hours, tune in 7:30 on our social media platforms, and it's a compilation of the day's headline news in video format. So it's a new feature for 2022.
Very cool.
CMR TV. We're super excited. So do check it out.
Awesome.
We'll do.
Congrats.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
Bye.
All right. Our segment with CMR brought to you.
All right, folks. Thank you to Blake and Aaron. That's 106. Go check them out. Good morning, Alice. Good morning, Olivia. Good morning to Michelle. Diamond Princess is here. Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Wednesday already? Am I the only person who's confused? Hump Day Wednesday has me confused. Louis, Robert, good morning. 36 degrees in Detroit. Sunrise at 8:02. Whoa, that's a late sunrise. Charm says, morning, Sir Alden. We'll go to the UK. Oh, bless his little heart. Wee, good morning. Oh, Prince Charles will do it. Well, at least it's not the pedophile. At least it's not Prince Andrew. Do you think Prince Andrew should be stripped of his title? I was kind of thinking about this. Poor Meghan. They put her through the ringer. They're hating on her. Oh, that American divorcee, mulatto girl, black girl, whatever they're calling her these days. She's got too much attitude. We're going to strip her of her title. We're going to do this. I think Prince Andrew should be stripped of all his royal, whatever we want to call it, titles and accolades. And I can't believe that he's still a prince. Mr. Blair, good morning. So good to see you. Vernita says she's truly thankful today. She says, blessed, good morning. Let's live up for Jesus. He's the only true life. Catherine, good morning. Irvelyn, good morning. Wee says, I got my booster shot yesterday. Ooh, how are you feeling? I did mine, was it 2 weeks ago now? It must have been over 2 weeks ago. Whenever they had the one in Newlands, I went and got mine done. And I must say, I have not had a reaction to any of the shots, really. Soreness in the arm from the injection site, which is any shot that you get. In fact, I've had other shots where I've had way more soreness than that. I'm still struggling with my tennis elbow situation. It is a constant pain. I think I might, unfortunately, have to go back on this Arcoxia, finish the prescription I have, I suppose. But I got to get back into physio now as well. And it's just, I got one of those little massagers for Christmas, and I've been using that on the arm, and it seems to help a little bit. But anytime I definitely extend the arm, I can feel it right in the elbow. So one of the things that definitely gave me temporary relief, it was oh so temporary, was to get a steroid shot in the elbow. Now I'm being told by some other orthopedic guys that what I actually need to do is I need to get a plasma. Oh my gosh, excuse me. I need to get a plasma injection in my elbow, and I don't even know what that entails, how that's any different than a regular shot in terms of the feel, the look, or whatever. But oh my goodness, I am just like plasma. It was painful, to say the least. I don't think you have like a lot of like cushioning in the elbow. So when that needle went in, believe me, I felt it, and I was holding on to the nurse for support, and I grabbed her a little bit tighter. Poor nurse. She must have been like, ooh-wee. But I did get some temporary relief afterwards, but unfortunately it didn't last very long. So I understand that plasma can be effective. But I think plasma is one of those things where it's still considered experimental. And so, they're not, like insurance doesn't cover it and stuff like that. So I don't know how much an injection could possibly cost in the Cayman Islands, but I might have to explore it because, I'm looking at it this way, 10 seconds of that pain with the hopes of getting more temporary relief is definitely better than being in pain every single day. So Irvlin says, a friend of mine who has COVID and reported it was told to go to South Sound. That's foolishness. Well, the thing is, where else are they going to go? I mean, at some point, you've got to recognize that testing centers, I guess that's where you go to get tested, and if you're positive and they're now wanting you to confirm your lateral flow status only because they really want to test for the Omicron variant, which shortly we're going to know that that's a dominant variant, and they're probably going to stop testing for it. I mean, I don't know how long that takes. But we have reached out to Dr. Newton to come on the program. So we are hoping, that we will hear from her soon in terms of confirmation. I'm going to chase that situation up and see if I can find out when she might come on. But there's a lot of questions I feel like we have, right? So yeah, definitely. I think public health just needs to look at how they're organizing it because trust me, I was all the way in Breakers yesterday. Assisting a client, and I had people calling me like, Sandy, you got to get to the South Sound Center. Mm-hmm. They were just like, it's really, really crazy. So lots of people. There wasn't really much in the way of social distancing. I don't know if you guys saw my video that I did. It's on Facebook. I'll probably stick it on YouTube as well. But, it's crazy. So, yeah. Louis says self-defense, ladies. Self-defense for rape to happen. The offender is close. Close, less than an arm reach. Learn to reach the body. Learn to use the body as a weapon. So, I've done some self-defense courses and stuff before. There was a guy here named Ronnie, and Ronnie used to do them. My friend and I, Sarah, used to go. She was a Muslim young lady, and we would go together and we would do these classes. They were Saturday mornings, and I think they were being offered for free as well. And there was a young lady there who had actually been attacked. I can't remember her name right now. She's still on my Facebook friends, right? But she had been attacked. She had sustained an attack on the beach, actually, with a weapon, where this guy came with a knife at her, I think, trying to rob her. And she ended up fighting him off. And it was so interesting to have her be part of the class. She was very, very fit. So it's not probably something I would recommend for most people. But I do feel like we need to have the police on the program talking to us about some safety tips. What do you do when you find yourself in a situation like this? I think Odie did the right thing. She fought. please go watch the video. It was really heart-wrenching to watch, or for me to do, and I'm sure for a lot of you to watch, but this is a reality check that unfortunately we have some really sick people living amongst us. Now, a lot of you have been messaging me, who is he? Who is he? Two things. Number one, I actually genuinely do not know. I'm going to court today, and I feel like in my spirit, he's probably going to be charged or something. He's going to show up in court. But I am going to court today because of another case that I do need to follow as a sentencing hearing, so I can report on that one. But sometimes the police will have them go and they don't really announce it in advance. And I kind of feel like he's probably going to get charged today. So I don't know who he is. They said he's a 26-year-old. Here's what I do know. I know he's not a Caymanian. I know he's not a Jamaican. Beyond that, I have my suspicions, but let's not go there. We will soon know. So obviously that means deportation for this man. I hope the authorities are already working on that once he served his time. And the other thing is, even if I did know who he was, I wouldn't be in a position to tell you because the police have requested us not to divulge his identity if it became known to us. Sometimes, sorry. I've just noticed I've got lipstick all over my teeth. My apologies. So sometimes we do know certain information, and the police might actually request us not to divulge it. Now, I'm glad they did this one in advance of us writing the story, because sometimes they wait until after the story goes up, and then they call in a panic, like, "Oh, we didn't want you to put up that video, did?" I'm like, it's probably a little bit too late already. So I've had this conversation with their PR person. I think she understands that we don't mind, for sure, assisting the police. I don't know why they don't want him named yet. I can't answer that question, but they have made the request, and I, not really knowing the reason why, I think that we should still assist the police in any way that we can. So we're happy to do that. But yeah, ask in advance. So they definitely ask in advance in this case. So listen, folks, we do know a lot of people are speculating that he was that Caymanian guy who goes around opening cars and stealing money out of cars. And that's not him for sure. That's not who this is. That young man has some sort of a drug problem. And I think his focus is just to get some coins to go buy another rock of crack or whatever it is, right? So his motivation's a little bit different. I still hope that he gets help though, because he's obviously in need of help. So Carol says Tilly's Christmas brunch was a super spreader event, but they aren't worried about that one. I don't know. I have never been to Tilly's brunch in my life, and I just have never had a desire to go. But that's interesting, and I would think that they would still have adhered to the requirements of social distancing and spacing and whatever. I mean, I don't know how they did it, but interestingly enough, I saw people cussing them, as we say, as Caymanians say, on Facebook during the holidays because they were requiring a negative, they were requiring vaccination, and were they also requiring a lateral flow test? I'm trying to remember. But I actually saw one of my, let me see. I saw one of my Facebook acquaintances commenting about it, and they were like, "Oh, Tilly's is now requiring vaccination status." I'm just like, y'all need to. Oh yeah, here it goes. Oh my gosh, this was December 29th. Oh my gosh, what has our little island gone to? Tilly's restaurant is asking for proof of vaccination before you can enter or dine. What? Why is this even a big deal? Yeah. I mean, you can expect this to be the norm. you know. It's just like you couldn't get in school without it. It's just unbelievable. And people are like, oh, well, we'll see how long they stay in business for it. You can rest assured that someone requiring a vaccination card to let you through the door is going to have absolutely zero impact on their business. First of all, those of you who are complaining about Tilly's have never stepped foot in Tilly's. You can't afford Tilly's. You won't be going to Tilly's. Truth be told, why are you even complaining about it? Somebody just said that comment sounds like an unvaccinated fool. I'll just leave it there. But yeah, I'm just like, everybody's an expert now on what's going to happen with businesses. Well, that's going to. I wish some of y'all would just go open up a restaurant and then come in and talk to me about, these restaurants have an obligation. In fact, they want to stay open, and that is why they are putting certain measures in place. In the US, I was reading something the other day about all of the places that you can't go to without vaccination status. And trust me, the list is growing tremendously. Let me tell you, I was trying to remember, where was this? There was it's like everywhere now. It's gyms, it's restaurants, it's, you can't go into any of these places. Here, let me see. I'm trying to remember where I saw this article. But anyway, it was pretty much to go anywhere, you need proof of vaccination. And to dine, to go to the movie theater. And it's just what it is. And that's going to be every country across the world. It's going to be individual businesses. So here we go. Chicago restaurants prepare to enforce proof of vaccination rules. British Columbia, Philadelphia, restaurants, sport events, movie theaters, and more. Cook County, Chicago. What do you need to know? Canada. It's just all over the place. It's nothing. It's going to become the norm. So I really don't understand in Cayman why people feel a way about it. Philadelphia, as of January the 3rd, which is 2 days ago, the city has a new indoor proof of vaccination requirement. Means that anyone who visits an indoor restaurant, bar, let me see here now. Sports venue, movie theater, or other indoor establishment that serve food and drink within the city's limits must show proof of vaccination. So you've got until January the 17th. So they give you a little bit of time. So if you roll up there today, you can still show a negative COVID test from a lab from the past 24 hours. Imagine you go to a bar every day and you got to do a lab test every day. But then after that, after January 17th, to get in, you better have proof of vaccination. And then by February 3rd, all staff and children 5 to 11 must be fully vaccinated at places that fall under the mandate. It is what it is, folks. I do not know why y'all still, they're going to require vaccination proof. Yes, they are. Move on. I think New York has done something else similar as well, right? Anyway, there's a few different states that are doing this, and it really Brazil to demand proof of vaccination from foreign visitors. Yep, everybody. DC joins other major U.S. Cities turning to indoor vaccine or testing mandates. So that was a couple weeks ago. So it is what it is. Yep, Tilly's will be fine. Now, use your common sense, because why y'all going to New Year's brunch or Sunday brunch or Christmas brunch or whatever it is, packed in a place like sardines. I mean, come on, are you trying to catch COVID? Is that the plan? Because honest to God, you go to events like that if you're really trying to catch COVID. Marshall, good morning. Bob, how are you? So good to see you. Happy New Year. Irvelin says congratulations. Oh yes. So in case you guys missed it, last night we just pulled the trigger, bit the bullet, as they say. We just did it. Our first ever CMR Daily Buzz launched. I thought it was good for a good first start. And quite frankly, we obviously saw room for improvement, and the room for improvement is coming. So thank you for all the wonderful comments. By and large, really, really positive. A few people reached out and said, hey, Sandy, work on the audio and so forth, which we knew. When I heard it, I'm like, what's going on? Misha had some issues with her mic, so we're going to get that hopefully sorted out. I have said this before in this program, but you guys have no idea how hard audio is to get just right. It's one of those, it's like an Achilles heel sort of thing, right? It's like a constant pain in your foot. It's just very, very, very tricky. So that will be worked on. But other than that, I mean, I thought it actually looked really, really pretty decent. And given the fact that I'm the one who actually did all the graphic stuff, I'm like, hey, it's not too shabby. Let me show you guys a quick snippets. You can obviously go on the page and watch it. So I'm not going to show you the full thing. It's only a couple minutes. But I thought, hey, this ain't too bad. Let me see. When I was doing it last night, when I was rendering it, my poor computer, I told you guys last year, I got a computer upgrade. So this is it's the equivalent of a gaming PC or graphics machine, in that it has a lot of processing power and SSD drive and all sorts of fanciness. So it can take a lot, but there's certain times it's quiet as a mouse normally. I hear it, sometimes it goes into sleep mode and I think it's shut off because it's so quiet. But when I'm doing something I'm trying to do graphic stuff or rendering a video, I can hear the processor speeding up this little roaring sound. And I'm like, oh, the poor computer's working right now. But check this out.
This is Misha Allinger with Cayman Mile Road's Daily Buzz. A DJ working at Everglow Bar was arrested on Sunday on suspicion of attempted murder after he stabbed another DJ multiple times by the DJ booth. 30-year-old DJ Sekou Lichmore remains in police custody as investigations continue into the stabbing, which left a 29-year-old man fighting for his life at the hospital. Police are appealing for eyewitnesses after they arrested a 26-year-old cyclist for serious attacks on at least 2 women. At around 6 a.m. Monday morning, police received the first report after the man accosted her twice at different Georgetown locations. All
right, so go check it out. I think it did well. Like I said, already it's one of those things where the second you do the first one, you're like, okay, it's done. But we've committed to doing this every day, so you've got to get to producing the second one. So bless her little heart, Misha is going to be responsible for the full production, really, of that news segment, and it will grow a little bit in terms of length and complexity in terms of what you see, the introduction for the show, and so on. So yeah, not too shabby. I think we're getting there. So congratulations. Thank you, Miss Morna. Good morning. Wee Wee says, I was watching and I love it. Thank you so much. 65 degrees in Bermuda this morning. No audio. Try refreshing. I don't know if it was that audio that was low or my low. Marshall says he watched it and liked it. Nice way to go. Thank you. Good morning, John. Good morning, Miss Brenda. She says the world needs to make vaccine mandatory for as long as we're in a pandemic and implement masks. Yeah, it's coming. It's only a matter of time, I suspect. Good morning, Peter. Good morning to Lizette. Brenda says, why should his identity be concealed? Deportation, no jail time. So I don't know why the police, I'm assuming it's because they don't want their investigation to be hampered in any way, but I don't know exactly why that would be. But you all know we normally find out in a jiffy. But this, I've told you guys before, from the second certain things happen and I don't know who it is and I don't hear any rumblings of who it is, the one thing I can tell you, it's not a Caymanan. That I can put my neck on the chopping block for. Because if it was a Caymanan, I would know. Y'all would have been like, oh, that's so-and-so, baby father, mother, cousin twice removed from East End, and granny is so-and-so, and papa is so-and-so, and so, and that's just how it works. So I knew, even before my sources said, yeah, they're not a Caymanan. So Miss Brenda, unfortunately, I don't know anything about the Kirk Freeport raffle. No clue. I didn't even know they were doing one. Emma says, seen crap at Doctor's Express on Sunday morning. Yeah, some of these testing centers. By the way, folks, go to Total Health. They are offering testing on West Bay Road. And I feel like they're a bit more organized. Buenos dias to Miss Alba. Good morning, Omiria. How are you? I watched it, Sandy, and that was very nice, and your voice is very clear. Thank you. I appreciate that. And it will get better. I think the audio definitely needs a little bit of improvement. So we will be working on that. And I just used sort of a temporary intro and stuff. Like we're gonna have a proper intro done by our graphics guys, and they are working on that as we speak. So more to come. Yes. Today's the 5th already. Oh my gosh. Premier Pampton is supposed to be on the show this evening. Oh. My gosh, can I tell you, 2022 is already flying by. I was thinking, oh, when is the 5th coming up? That's today. Someone says they don't like Doctor's Express. Doctor's Express. Which one is Doctor's Express again? No. Oh, I was thinking, did that not supposed to say Doctor's Express? Oh, I was thinking of the other one. One of these people need to change their name, because Doctor's Express and Doctor's Hospital, the names are too close. And I always confuse them in my head. When somebody says Doctor's Express, I'm automatically thinking of Doctor's Hospital. Doctor's Hospital had their new name first, right? Who had the name first? I don't know. But I feel like somebody should change her name, because it's confusing. Marshall says she spoke good and I was able to understand what she was saying, which is a good thing. Yes, I mean, she obviously speaks more than one language. She's fluent, and I think that Misha speaks German as well, because she lived in Germany for a bit and she actually learned German pretty much almost on her own. But she speaks, what language do they speak in Goya? I don't know. Chef Remy, are you around? Tell me what's the native language. But obviously, I think they're also English speakers. A lot of people speak with an accent. I remember back in the day when I went to the US initially, I was only 9 years old. They couldn't understand what the hell I was saying. They were like, are you speaking a foreign language? And I'm like, what? You can't understand what I'm saying? I just speaking like. And they were like, what language is that? And I'm like, damn, y'all have never heard a Caribbean person speak? They didn't even know where the Cayman Islands were. They were like, the Cayman Islands, is that Jamaica? I'm like, Jamaica? The Cayman Islands, is that the Bahamas? Back in the day, they only knew, apparently, the Caribbean. Cuba, Haiti, I guess. They never said Haiti, though, but they always be like, Jamaica or the Bahamas. And I'm sitting there going, there's a lot of islands outside of Jamaica and the Bahamas. Anyway, yeah, they couldn't understand me either. And it was first couple of years was a little bit of a struggle. But kids have a very interesting ability to become part of their environment very, very quickly. So you make some adjustments. And before you know it, I had my little American twang going. Hello, y'all. Wonderful. Thank you, Maria. So let's talk about a few things as it relates to, yes, I did. Yes. So I was very, very shocked yesterday to hear about these 2 deaths in Jamaica. Such a sad situation. My God. I thought about it. You go home, you work hard. Both of these men are in the construction business. Here they are working very, very hard, trying to make a better living for themselves and most likely the family back home. And they go for the equivalent of a couple weeks and you can't even make it back alive. What on earth? Look at this poor fella here. This is his family. And, how sad is this? He leaves behind 4 children and a common law wife that they've been together for some 20-something years, I believe. And this one is the most peculiar situation of all. So both him and his brother were shot and killed in Petersfield, Westmoreland. So apparently they say that he left home around 10 p.m. This was on Monday night, I guess. And the shooting happened after 12 a.m. So both him and his common law wife of 23 years, who have 4 children together, were in Jamaica on holiday. And he has now lost his life. Dervin Jones, 40 years old. So he went up on the 24th to visit the kids there. First time traveling in some 3 years. And him and his brother were found shot to death on his birthday. Listen to this. So he probably went out for his birthday to celebrate the night before. And they were found at 5 o'clock in the morning, shot to death. They don't know yet the motive of the killings. It looks like it wasn't robbery because everything was on him. So all of his personal effects were still on his body. Someone said that Dervin was very humble and hardworking individual and well-known in the construction industry. So sad, unbelievably sad. And that's how at 40 his life has ended in a violent situation. Now, some people are speculating, is it a case of mistaken identity? Sorry, he's 41. His brother Sheldon Jones is 40. So people don't know what the motive was in this particular situation. So apparently he has a home in Petersfield, Westmoreland, and that's where he was staying. So sad. Crazy. Here's the irony of it. He almost missed his flight. The person reflected on this and they said, he almost missed the flight. And now they're wondering if maybe that could have been a blessing in disguise. Wow. So sad. So they don't know yet. I mean, hopefully they'll find out what this is all about. I think, anytime something tragic like this happens, the family really wants to know why. I don't have any answers. I just know that it's a sad situation. And even sadder than that is Romel Ham, who is 50 years old. And Romel, also a Jamaican national, went home for the holidays. And he likewise has lost his life in a violent gunshot situation in Jamaica. So we do have some people here, of course, who knew Romel, and they shared that he was, again, really nice guy, always playing dominoes with them, good worker. And he went home to Jamaica, and he was actually visiting. It's so sad. Someone actually sent me his photo on the sidewalk dead, which is really, really sad. Unfortunately, that was being sent around. But the area where he got killed is called Prospect. It's so funny how Jamaican Cayman has a lot of similar names. West End and West Bay and they have an area called Newland. We have one called Newlands. Seems like we lifted a lot of their names of locations, right? But 50 years old, Romel, from Prospect in Manchester. And he was the first murder recorded in the parish since the start of the new year, Monday night, January 3rd. So it appears that Romel was actually visiting his girlfriend's bar or something. And he was a number of people at this bar in the community around 8:20 p.m. Gunmen came in because they'd been going around robbing people, because I guess that's what gunmen do. And so they were trying to rob this establishment. And my understanding from an inside source is they actually wanted his vehicle, which was a rental. And they said, give us the keys. And apparently he must have said no, or he hesitated or whatever. And he was killed. Shot him and took the keys. Unbelievable. You know? A lot of people are feeling the strain of violence all over the world, but I think Jamaica in particular, you know, they're trying to find a solution. I don't know what solution there is. There have been a number of they do these security, what do they call them? Where basically they lock you down with a curfew and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of people are saying it's not working. They're like, that doesn't work. So it's just crazy. So Miss Brenda said maybe a police shooting for breaching curfew. The two brothers? No, I don't think so. No. So yeah, I mean, it's a sad situation. We've talked about on this program before how sometimes a lot of people, when they return home, that they are almost automatic targets because people feel like they're coming home with money and so on. But and at least in the case of Romel, it just seems like he was just in the wrong place at the wrong time when this robbery was going down. You know, again, going back to what I was saying earlier, I would love for the police to be able to, like, even locally, come on the show and give us some good advice. Like, if you're being robbed, what do you do? Well, first of all, you give them whatever, give it up. Like, whatever you have, whatever money, jewelry, whatever. If that's going to make them leave quicker and leave your life intact, it's trust me, it ain't worth it. Any possession you have in this world, any physical possession, can be replaced. Yeah, just give it to them. Reflecting back on what happened to Odie, you know, I often think from when I was in university and I lived in Tampa, you know, when you live in certain bigger cities, you do have safety concerns. So at night, walking on campus at night, you better be careful. You know, you always try to, like, okay, let me call a boyfriend or a friend or walk in a group, or, you know, you hate to even have to do these things, but this is the reality of the world that we're living in particular. If you are a woman, you are at higher risk if you are alone in certain places after dark. Even in daylight, you know, I'm hearing California and Hollywood is crazy these days. I was watching something the other day about the violence in Hollywood, daylight robberies, and people, one lady got robbed at gunpoint for her dog. They stole the dog, and apparently the dog has a medical condition, and needs medication. So they've stolen a dog now that they're going to have to take care of if they want to keep the dog alive. But it's just, the world has just gone mad, and the violence around the world is just next level crazy, in my opinion. But, there's always been, America has one of the highest rates, or the highest rate in the world, for serial killers. It's an American phenomenon. They can't quite figure out what it is about America that makes their people crazy serial killers, but that's true. Nowhere else in the world has serial killers like America. The proliferation of serial killers, America's at the top. And so I remember when I was in high school, there's a couple really big cases in the Tampa or Florida area. When I was getting ready to go to university, there was the one in Gainesville where that guy was killing college students. Like, you get afraid. Like, you think, oh my God, I'm about to go off to college. Is this what my future is? Like, I don't get to enjoy university life. And, that's one of the other reasons why I don't drink, because I don't want to be compromised. I'm not going out to some bar and get compromised where I'm stammering home or stammering back to a dorm room or whatever, and I become an easy target. I'm like, I want to have my wits about me. I'm just really, really like, I try to be cautious about these types of things. And, I've heard of assaults and stuff, even back in the day on my school campus. So you take precautions. And one of the things that I always read somewhere, I can't remember where, but not only do you, if it's a robbery, just give them what they want. You want the keys? Go ahead. Take the keys to the car. But what you don't do is you don't allow someone to move you from one location to another location. And this was like around the time when all these like abductions were happening, like in Florida, someone's going to abduct you. They're like, listen, if somebody comes at you in a somewhat public place, in the street, on campus, whatever, and they're like, come with me, get in this car. I'm holding my ground. That's where I'm going to say, okay, if you're going to shoot me, you're going to shoot me right here. Because the chances of someone hearing the gunshot on campus or in the military and finding me is a lot better than you having an opportunity to take me out in the bushes somewhere and the boondocks and some isolated place, or at your, dungeon house where nobody even knows where it's at, and you have total control. Nobody's going to hear you. Nobody's going to see you. You can saw me up into little bits and pieces. No. This is where it's going down. Do what you got to do. At least they will find the body, because you allow them to take you away. There's no guarantee that you will ever be found. And so I read that, I feel like in one of those real cases, whatever, that I would watch. And honestly, I think it's good advice because it made total sense. Because once you allow someone to take you, they are in complete and total control. And that's what you don't want. You want still an element of somebody might walk by. So this young lady, Odie, who shared her story, again, if you've not seen the Facebook interview, it's quite shocking. She was obviously very emotional about the situation. She actually reached out to us and said she wanted to share her story as a precautionary tale to other women. And it's just crazy. I'm gonna send you guys a link here in a second. But yeah, she was attacked by this guy. And I feel like when something happens, like she described how quickly it all happened, which, when you're in a situation, adrenaline's pumping, and it only takes a split second for somebody to grab you. And this is exactly, you're not expecting it. She's like running. And she said, she was jogging, she was running. And some women had said to her earlier, a group of women, there's some guy around here harassing people. But she didn't process that as, oh, that's going to be a dangerous situation. Maybe I don't go out running or whatever. Because how many times have you not heard, there's a guy actually in Pasadena Place. He loves the Smith Road area between Pasadena Place and up and down and Elgin Avenue. He's always cycling around begging people for money, has a bandage up knee and whatever, claiming that he needs help, he needs food, and, obviously in some kind of drug dependency situation. And as many times as you see him, you aware how many times you don't even see him, like you don't pay him any mind. And this is one of the takeaways is we are not as conscious of our environment as we should be. So a lot of us are walking and we're not paying attention. We're walking with our handbags or, we're jogging and, well, I'm not jogging, but y'all jogging for some exercise. Might join you soon. And you're just simply not aware. You're not present. Like your mind is a million miles away. But you know how many times I've been out cycling or when I walk, because I find walking in the streets and exercising incredibly boring, I put on music. So I'll have headphones. So I don't even hear my environment. Somebody could be behind me and I'm like, beat bopping to whatever music. And that's a reality. A lot of people jog with headphones on. Or your mind is a million miles away. And this predator, here's why you're at a distinct disadvantage, right? The predator has one sole focus, and that's you or a victim. And so he's looking, like she even reflected back and said, she never noticed this area. I'm sure she's ran that path a million times. She's never noticed this area in the bushes before. Because when he pushed her in the bushes and jumped on her, it's like she fell back and it's almost like there was a clearing there that was ideal for a sexual assault, almost like a little makeshift bed area. And she's like, I've never even noticed that before. You run by things every day and it just doesn't click. So his sole focus is on you, what he's going to do to you. And he's been apparently from earlier in the morning was saying things to one woman. She ran up to security guard and got some help. But he's been up and down. They'd call the police then, but he's been up and down trolling for a potential victim all Monday morning. And he saw her jogging by herself in that moment, in that exact spot, think, I'm going to do it. I'm sure it's a little bit of impulse on his part as well. I don't know how much he planned this out. Even if he was out trolling, he probably didn't have a plan because what are you going to do? Put her on the bicycle bar and take her back to your house and continue to rape her? No, he was just going to rape her in the bushes and assault her and be done with it. Maybe end up killing her. Who knows? So he's focused on you and you're just running and minding your own business, not focused on anything and certainly not focused on him. So when he pushed her into the bushes, you can imagine the shock. You ever had someone blindside you like out of nowhere? I've never had it happen to me, but I've had it happen to poor Coco when we lived next door to another terror of a dog. I would just be walking. Sometimes you're walking and you come out your front door and you're on the phone, about to send somebody a message, and boom, the dog just comes out of nowhere. It's at night, so of course your vision is already compromised. And this dog just comes out of nowhere, bam, and runs right into you and your dog. And you're like, what the, Like it is shocking. You weren't expecting it. And in that moment, you get this fight or flight or, you scream, obviously, if it's like a shocking situation. I think that's one of the body's reflexes is to scream. But even in that moment, thank God, Odie was thinking, I cannot let this man hurt me. She said, she realized that this was not going to go like this. She's like, no. When she started screaming, he then started to choke her. And you know how quickly you can cut off somebody's windpipe, you can break somebody's neck, there's a lot of things you can do to kill somebody by what do we call it when they choke you? Strangulation. Death by strangulation. There's a medical term for it that begins with, I feel like it begins with an L. I can't remember what it's called now, but yeah, so somebody starts choking you. In a panic, he had her pinned down, his body. Now, I don't know how much the dude weighs. His body's on top of hers. And it's really, really hard to get somebody off of you once they're on top of you. When I was in university, my ex and I used to practice all the time. So we had this thing. We're like, okay, as a woman, yes, I understand I'm the weaker sex. I understand that I can get into situations. So we would practice, like if someone comes behind you, what do you do? What do you get? Just to kind of like prepare you, but you're never prepared for the real thing. Like if somebody does this, what are you going to do? And this is one of the things that when I did the the same thing when we did the training, the self-defense training. It's not asphyxiation. It's like ligament, something with a ligament in the term. But anyway, you have to have a plan in your head. Even if you don't execute it perfectly, the more you practice and the more you do things over and over again, you kind of will know a little bit of what to do. And so there are weak points on a man, no matter how strong he is. The eyes, the nose. We were doing stuff in self-defense training like the ear, and you'd be surprised, little pressure points that if you can grab a hold of someone with the least amount of pressure, you can really make an impact on that individual letting go of you. And the idea is to get them to let go enough where you can run. You're not trying to be no Kung Fu Panda and beat them up and be like, "Whoo, I just kicked somebody's butt and now I'm ready for the next move." No, this is about you're getting out of the situation as quickly as possible. So, Odie said that he had her pinned down at some point. Like, he literally pushed her in the bushes, it seems like. And she doesn't even know how she ended up injuring her leg, but she can barely walk. She's like limping all over the place. And she said she was just like, "I'm not going to make this man hurt me." That was all that she was thinking in her head. And she had to get out of the situation. Thankfully, she was able to do so. Andrea says, "Bad mind, evil people think that once you leave Cayman, you come home rich. Most of the time, it's the same family members that set you up." So sad. Irvlin says, "When people go Jamaica these days, you can't tell anyone. Move in silence. We live in a cold world. Yeah, that's crazy, right?" Damon says, "Not giving up the keys to rental car. That's stupid." Yeah, I kind of thought about that. And the only thing that occurred to me is I kind of wondered, maybe it's one of those situations, when you go get a rental and they're like, "Oh, do you want the additional insurance if something happens to you?" You go, "No." So the poor guy is probably just thinking, "Oh, I'm going to be responsible for placing this car," not realizing that these guys don't give a damn. We will shoot you in the head and walk away with the car keys. I'm sure if he had thought about shooting me in the head and leaving me on the ground on the sidewalk dead versus giving you the rental car keys, there's no comparison. Your life is worth way more than a rental car. But I'm sure in the moment, Damon, he's probably like, "No, I'm not going to give you this." And these guys were just like, boom, split second. Andrea says a lot of it is because some of the guys in Jamaica who go into school, they can't access online classes or just can't be bothered, so they join gangs. What the hell? Fortune Dally, please come off of our stream. Let us block you and delete your comment. We're not here for no Dr. Mandy BS, want to get rich quick scheme. Yes, very sad for the families. Good morning, Miss Donna. Irvelin says that's why I stopped running in the mornings. Irvelin, wasn't there an incident with you running in the mornings as well? So we don't have any photos or names of the wannabe. I feel like he was going to sexually assault her. That's what I think was going on. We don't have any photos yet, so we're keeping an eye on the situation. Tab Jam said, "I watched that video last night and it resonated with me in my sleep. I feel so bad for that lady." Yeah, I mean, she's physically injured and emotionally scarred. And when I was talking to her, and I could see, that she was trying to keep it together. I said to her, "Well, hopefully you're going to get some psychological, like, counseling and that sort of thing." Thank you, Ina, joining us from South Florida. Is the male arrested a skinny guy? We don't have any description. And because the police have specifically said nothing to identify him, I didn't even ask that question in the interview, as you can see. Ligature strangulation. I think that's what I'm thinking of. Yes. That's it. Louise says, I'm going to start a dog rental company for that reason. You don't have to feed them, but it's a deterrent to have a dog with you when you're out and about. Mask up, of course. Does the dog have to wear a mask? I'm kidding. Oh, yes. Irvin had an incident with dogs. I knew something went down. Marshall says in Jamaica, they'll shoot you for nothing, let alone money or car. Sad facts that, you know, your life is worth very, very little to some people. Okay, some WhatsApp comments. When the bars stay open until 4 a.m., me as an early runner have to stay alert for speeders and drunken drivers and people outside the bars wanting to yell and throw bottles. And I'm a 6'3" male. Wow. Not only that, but can I tell you as well that remember a couple of years ago, there was a woman who was running or walking on the Linford Pearson bypass, and she got she got ran down by a vehicle and killed. So that's a real concern as well. So someone says, get stone drunk in the safety of your living room. Only harm is the fall to the floor. Is it too early to make a Mario joke about that? Probably. Because a fall to the floor can be deadly. This comment says, is the guy Cuban, Honduran? I now walk with a knife. Any fool mess with me, gotta find themselves on the wrong side of that knife for sure. Dig out those eyes and punch in the nose. Well, don't say it too loudly that you're walking with a knife, because you know that is an offense. Hot mess. Ay, ay, ay. Okay. What a hot mess. This person says it's also an offense to be assaulted. Well, that is true. I think it's high time that the government considers allowing women in particular to be able to carry some sort of a defensive instrument, pepper spray or something. The truth of the matter is, I think for most cases, prevention is always better than cure. So, you know, being aware of your surroundings, all these other things will work better than when you're in a situation and you get to use pepper spray. And the other thing is, pepper spray can be used against you. It's really easy for a man to grab that out of your hand and pepper spray you as the victim in the face. So I don't know how much evidence there is to support that pepper spray helps. But I think a lot of women would feel safer if they had something available to themselves. Tab Jam says, I was so glad when you asked her about counseling. She's obviously badly traumatized, and so glad that you suggested counseling. Yeah, I could feel her. I could feel her trauma. You know, when you're talking to a victim, you do get very. I find that as someone who does a lot of interviews and stuff, I can take on their emotional stress. Even sometimes just when people are telling me a story, I take on, like, I feel, it's empathy, I guess is what it is. But I feel and how they must have felt somewhat in the situation. And so I could feel a lot of pain just emanating from her as she spoke. Really sad. Louis says training to carry it and be carried and to be carried concealed. Yeah, because I find like most people would probably do that. They'd probably get it, but then they wouldn't really do all the necessary preparations, like how to use pepper spray and how you want to carry it and all those other things. So you have to be careful. Yeah. There you have it. Huh. So one source is saying that this person is very high up in certain circles. Now I'm curious as to who this is for real. Speaking of that, what was I just saying? I can't remember. Oh, yes. So someone sent me a tip yesterday. I'm trying to ascertain a little bit about this situation. So listen to this tip. I'm not going to call any names yet because I need to reach out to the police about this to find out whether or not someone has been arrested. But this is where you got to keep an eye on situations, right? Because, you know, things can get swept under the carpet depending on who you are. So this person has sent an email. They name a certain individual who's 18 years old, current Cayman resident, and currently at a certain university in the UK, son of managing director of so-and-so law firm, is facing charges of ABH and GBH after trying to bite the ear off of a CIS student, a younger pupil, at a fight altercation earlier this year. I'm assuming this year must mean last year. Apparently he's going to find out if he's going to be charged this week. So I'm actually going to message our CAPS, see if there is if this when this actually happened. Truth of the matter is, let me be very, very clear about how this works. Lady Justice is not blind. You clearly know that you see different levels of justice being doled out. Money gives you access to better lawyers. It gives you access to sometimes never even going to court where you need a lawyer at that stage, right? You lawyer up early on and here comes your defense lawyer and they say, oh, no. You need to change this case from attempted murder to wounding with intent, because that's what they get paid to do. Here's a perfect example of that. This young man has been charged with attempted murder. This is a DJ situation. If y'all don't think that his lawyers will be working overtime to get that charge reduced to something far less, then think again. No, Sharon, that's a totally different. No, she's not in high circles. He's in high circles. Yeah, not her. The guy, this is an allegation, but y'all don't worry. I just want to find out who he is. And I feel like if the police are going to charge him, they can hold him for 48 hours and then they need to make a decision, right? So I feel like he might be a pain. I'm going to go to court today. Like I said, I got a case to watch. But this guy has been charged with attempted murder after he stabbed someone multiple times. Some altercation over the music or some foolishness. Some people are saying, no, it was self-defense. It was this, it was that. I don't know. I wasn't there, but the police have arrested him on suspicion of attempted murder. And have you ever looked at charges and thought to yourself, why is this person being charged with this? There have been times when someone will cut somebody's throat and somehow it's a wounding offense. And you're like, wounding? Listen, to me, if you do certain things, and cutting someone's throat is one of those things, in my opinion, that should be mandatory in the law. You cut somebody's throat, that's an automatic, even if they survive it, that's an automatic attempted murder charge, because you don't go for somebody's throat without intending to probably kill them, because that is one of those things that, you just do it just right. Even if it's not as deep as a wound as you think, you hit the right artery and that person's dead. You're stabbing someone. Yeah, you stab him a couple of times, that's intent to kill. You should be able to prove that. Anyway, sources indicate that his lawyers are working on getting the charges reduced before he even gets to court. The prosecution, sometimes they need to really put their foot down and fight for the relevant charges to stick. And that does not always happen. So there is that. Look at this, what someone sent me yesterday that he had up on his, I think this is Instagram. This is a message to his mother, I guess. It says, hey, mommy, you can read that profanity for yourself. Can't kill your picnic. Boy, we got some winners around the place. No, sir. Wow. Anyway, we'll see what happens in that case. I'll keep y'all updated. That's all I can tell you. But what the eventual charge will be. But what a hot mess. You notice the hot mess hasn't changed in 2020. It's still a hot mess. Good morning, Tommy. Alice says it's very sad to how our little islands have become, and it's only getting worse. Brenda says, but ultimately the judge has the last say. They should reject some of these plea deals with reduced charges. Well, the judge doesn't have a say in what the prosecution decides to pursue in terms of charges. They don't have a say at all. Even when the judge says, sometimes a file comes before the judge, and sometimes this is happening because the prosecution keeps rolling around, bringing the person to court, and they're clearly not prepared to actually charge the person yet. And the judge will say, do you want to review this file? I'm going to make a recommendation that you review the file, but they can't force them. So when they say review it, they mean review it to view of either you're going to drop the charges, you're going to amend the charges, maybe you need to rethink your case, but the judge has no say in that. That's a matter entirely for the prosecution. And then when it goes to a trial phase, obviously if it's the wrong charge or whatever, then the person's going to probably walk, because the defense attorney will say, this is an attempted murder. at best, this is wounding with intent, and the prosecution has simply charged them with the wrong thing. So they don't meet the criteria for attempted murder, make him walk. And that's normally what happens. So the judge doesn't tell the prosecution how to do their job in the sense that they can't tell them what to charge anybody with. Judges do get very frustrated. I see it all the time when they will say, you know, why hasn't this file been reviewed? 6 months ago, I asked for a review of this file. Why haven't you done this? But a judge is there to keep the procedural components on track. If it is a judge alone trial, and then they actually come to a point in that part of the decision-making process, you know, where they say, okay, there's no case to answer or whatever, that's a completely different thing. I've never heard of a judge in Cayman interjecting themselves in a plea deal. I think that's an American situation where judges actually are signing off on a plea deal and can make themselves part of the process. I have never heard, and I'll check with some of my court sources who obviously have been following court cases, but in Cayman, under the English legal system, I've never heard of a judge rejecting a plea deal. The US system and the UK system are very, very different, believe me you. And, you know, there's certain things that judges don't really involve themselves in this jurisdiction. I can't think of a case where I've ever seen that happening. Some plea deals don't really, I find here that it's not really a plea deal, to be honest. Although in the US, that's what they would call it. So what you have someone doing is they will accept responsibility for the lesser offense. So they'll say, yeah, you know, I'll plead guilty and save the court's time and resources to wounding with intent. But I'm not going to plead guilty to attempted murder. So if you want attempted murder, you're going to have to spend time and resources to prove attempted murder. And this is where victims, let me say something to victims. If you are a victim of a crime, this is where you have some say in the process. You know, you have a right for the prosecution to do their job to the best of their ability, and they're not always doing that. And so I have seen in more recent cases where victims have showed up to court, victims of criminal cases, which are, remember the prosecution brings the case on behalf of the people. Regina, that's why it says R versus so-and-so, right? It's on behalf of the people who live in this community with that specific victim in mind. So they're going to get victim impact statements. They're going to, you know, potentially have the victim participate somewhat in the process. But normally by the time the prosecution gets the case, they just run with it and do whatever. And the victims have very little say. And so even when plea deals are arranged, there are times when they don't even tell a victim in advance that a plea deal has been reached. You find out if you've been following your case and you show up to court, which I think is an unfortunate situation because I've seen some witnesses, you know, some victims, or families of victims really sideswiped by these plea deals because they had no idea that a plea deal was coming. They don't talk to the victims at all. Yes, that's right. They don't have to consult with them. And a lot of times they don't. So it's unfortunate, but I think that victims have to make the prosecution know that, hello, I'm here and I am present and I want you to let me know what's happening the entire duration of the case. You know, you've got to be chasing up the prosecution basically. And it's unfortunate. So I saw a case recently where a victim hired their own private attorney. And that private attorney, although they're not part of the prosecution team, was present in court every single time with the victim. And they were speaking to the court. I'm I'm trying to remember the court. I feel like at least in one instance, they did have an audience. So in other words, they were able to speak to the judge earlier on in the proceedings with a view to saying, we want a protective order, and here's why. Instead of allowing the prosecution to do it, because they felt like the prosecution just wasn't able to do a good enough job, which is an interesting indictment on the prosecutors. This was a domestic violence situation where a woman was seriously attacked by an ex that she knew. And this had been a history of domestic violence and so on. And this is finally the case where, she'd had enough after he beat her to a pulp and black and blued her and all that stuff. And she decided to lawyer up to help her with the process. And it can give you some confidence, although you shouldn't have to pay for a personal attorney in situations like this. I feel like it maybe helps to give them confidence to kind of go through the process as well. Ay. All right. Yep. Hot mess. So another anti-vaxxer in the US has died. I've just sent Renee that story. She'll put up later on. You guys can read about it. What a hot mess. I don't know what to say. Anyway, today I'm in court, going to see what's going on. There is a particular case that a victim has reached out to us about, asking us to please report on it. It's interesting how we get victims now reaching out to us to say, I want you to report on this, because what happens a lot of times is people go to court. I was saying this yesterday to someone, I think to Odie after the interview. I was saying to her that a lot of times people go to court for a particular offense and you don't know the details of the offense. And so when they get convicted and they go to jail and whatever, then they come out, they give you one version of what happened and you don't really know because no one has reported on it. And most individuals are not going to just walk up at the court office and be like, oh, I need to see a criminal court file to read what actually happened. And so one of those such cases that actually was brought up to me again on Sunday is of this guy, Brandon Beckett. Someone said, let me show you guys this because I think you're going to find this interesting. So this was Sunday afternoon. Hold on one second here. Let me just screen grab this. Sometimes I screen grab these things because I'd be thinking, y'all don't believe me when I'm telling you these stories. I know some of y'all be like, no, Sandy's making that up. I'm like, nope, it's the God's honest truth. People message me with all sorts of things, honey Jill. I get all sorts of phone calls and stories. And so have a look at this, right? This guy is one of those individuals who has a thing for women. And not in a good way. He doesn't have a thing for women in a good way. He has a thing for women in that he's a predator. So this person says Brandon Beckett is out of jail. Any idea why? Remember, he held a woman hostage and raped and battered her all night and beat her all night. Sorry. He is at my gym now and I'm disgusted. Oh, you would be disgusted to know that that's the least of his situation. Brandon, quite interestingly enough, is in trouble again with the law for beating and battering another woman, namely his wife in this case. And apparently she's probably going to help him get off. Oh, you can't make this stuff up on a good day. So they sent a screenshot of his Instagram account. And I had sent them a voice note. And they're saying, I'm assuming because she's white, meaning his wife, she isn't from here. Well, that's an incorrect assumption. She's actually Caymanian from here. Caymanian. But how TF could he get off for all that he did? I'm shocked. Was it a lenient sentence or good behavior? I'm wondering if she's the girl that's tattooed up that I always see him with at Ultra Lounge. They go into a bit more detail. And I was like, I don't know. I don't go to Ultra Lounge or any other lounge. So I don't know what he's up to. But what I would say is, and I kind of gave her a little update. She said, thanks for updating me. Apparently, he served his time and he got out. Since then, he's had an opportunity, folks, to get married, to find another fool, to get married. And the point that I'm telling you is he's told the wife a story that he was sentenced. And remember, this guy went to jail. Let me tell you how much jail time he served. Brandon Beckett. He was sentenced. This is a very violent attack, by the way. Wrongful confinement. He got 3.5 years. So he served his 60% of his 3.5 years. And he came out. Young guy, too. 26 at the time. This was back in 2019. Right? So he served his time and he got out. Now he finds this girl that he starts dating. And he turns around and tells her, oh, no, I went to jail because this woman was harassing me. This was a false accusation. She's the problem. And of course, his little pretty little wife believes him. Because, you know, when you start dating a guy, you want to believe all the lies that they're going to tell you. All of the, oh, I'm wounded goods. My father abused me. I need a woman like you to save me. You know, they play the victim card because they're narcissists. And you all sit back and we've all been there. We want to believe it. And so she bought this story hook, line, and sinker. Hook, line, and sinker? Yeah, I think that's the same. Anyway, charged with rape, threats to kill, wrongful confinement. So he pled guilty to wrongful confinement and 2 other charges. You see, this is where he's getting off easy. So in the social inquiry and psychological assessment report, he disclosed that he was abandoned by his mother and abused by his stepmother. See, this is where, yeah, I'm not saying that he's not damaged goods. Clearly, he's damaged goods. I mean, hello. Anyone who does this kind of thing to a woman has to be crazy, or anybody. And needs professional help. But he's not getting the professional help, y'all. The judge noted that Beckett has a history of domestic violence charges, which he'd already been convicted for. And he has a high chance of reoffending. That was in the social impact report. Now, you see, I'm sure the wife believes his story and she doesn't go digging into, oh, let me go read the CMR story that was done back in 2019 on him. High chance of reoffending. And you're going to marry this dude. That means you're probably going to be the next victim. And sure enough, you know, the dude is in court again now. But he's walking around, he's on bail. So he's walking around with a monitoring device. So he got bail with conditions. You're not supposed to contact her, blah, blah, blah. But the streets are talking that she's contacting him. She's going to him because he's, you know, still in her head. And she doesn't see that she's a victim. She's thinking, oh, he's going to change for me because he must really love me. when he was dragging you down the street and people calling the police to help you, he wasn't loving you, honey. So even in a community as small as the Cayman Islands, folks, the point is, if we don't have things like a sex offender registry, right? I have seen convicted sex offenders, child molesters. The guy from West Bay, that E-Banks guy, what was their first name again? The one that used to work credit union. Somebody told me, they're like, Sandy, I saw this guy. One day he showed up at my house to purchase something. I was selling something off of EK or whatever. And he shows up with this white woman who have no clue who he is. And the person said, I was torn. Obviously I have her number because she reached out to me through EK, whatever, for this purchase item, whatever. Do I tell her that you're dating a convicted child molester who molested his own family? And there was a lot of grooming and a lot of very disgusting things that this man did. Do I tell her that? Or do I just leave her, she's going to find out? Because normally they want to shoot the messenger. Y'all know how this goes. Why are you telling me this? Oh, you want to interfere with my relationship? He's a good man. You see, we still waiting on that sex offenders registry all now. Really, really disturbing that people can have such a lengthy history of things and nobody seems to know anything about it. Sandy, I know what I'm going to say. A lot of persons will feel offended, but it's sad that we have to deal with our own Caymanian criminals. Most of them. It's sad that it's sad that we have to deal with our own Caymanian criminals, or I'm not sure what that word's supposed to be. Listen, we have criminals here from all over. We have to deal with our own Caymanian criminals here, and only if government here knows how many are here married to Cayman. Listen, two things. We have our own, and we talked about this before. We are also importing criminals. So it's a double whammy. Now, the government has in place that it is against the law, it is illegal to enter into marriage of convenience. However, as I've said on this program before, that's one of the most difficult things to prove, folks. It's not easy to prove a marriage of convenience. And you know who I blame for those situations? I blame the people in the marriage. I blame the Caymanian who gets into these relationships with people who are not of any kind of quality or caliber. But how do you tell someone you can't marry a criminal? Or you can't marry someone who's a bad person in the eyes of the community, or someone who eventually is going to molest your grandchildren, or, you know what I mean? How do you tell someone that you can't marry somebody and you can't fall in love with the wrong person? It is a very difficult situation. Jessica says he better stay away from my sister because my head not good. Well, Jessica, let me challenge you because I believe that your head not good, but let me challenge you that you need to really get your sister into some counseling, because the word on the street is that she is the one who is actively engaging Brandon and going to him. He has an order not to go to her, but the order doesn't work in the reverse. So she is still able to go to him and visit him and listen to his lies and still be pulled in with him or by him. And the chances of the prosecutors being able to build a case without a domestic violence victim fully cooperating with them is less to none. We've seen cases like that dropped before, where the victim isn't playing ball, and so the prosecution has no case as a result. All right, we're going to switch gears a little bit here. Aliana says, I'm not sorry for suggesting this, but there needs to be a group or division that tracks and monitors these creeps that can access for information about one part. Well, at least a sex offenders registry in terms of those types of creeps would help. Domestic violence creeps. I think that unfortunately, everybody needs to be prepared to do a little bit of due diligence on their own when you're engaging in a relationship with someone. Don't be too quick to jump in the sack with them and then get all emotionally tied up in the situation before you maybe do a little background check. Anyway, let's switch gears a little bit because I do want to leave her in time today. Like I said, I got to run to court this morning. We've got none other than, where's my horn?
You want me to do one?
Hello, Kevin. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Yeah, this is my first time joining you for the show in 2022.
Know. Yes. Thank you for joining us. We've not seen you since last year.
Yes.
And you've got a little bit of news to share with our viewers. I was shocked. Tell us what the news is.
Yeah, no, on Sunday I became COVID positive. So
what? How did that happen?
I now know what it's like to, well, at least have COVID, but it's been quite mild for me so far. My roommate, who actually works for fire rescue, she brought it home more or less, and she had gotten it the Wednesday before. So we knew it was a matter of time, because that same night we went out and had some sushi, and we were all sharing it and stuff. So it was like, yeah, this is probably going to happen. And sure enough, I was tested every day, and so I started off with a little bit of a headache and a scratchy throat. Wasn't too bad at all, and a little bit of stuffiness. And then again, my symptoms have been extremely mild throughout the whole entire time, and I could only say I really am glad that I am fully vaccinated and boosted, because I really believe that that's what also have me with mild symptoms.
Yes. So you sound a little bit congested.
Yes, definitely. So that's really what it is. I do have, my nose is quite stuffy, and I do every now and then cough up a little bit of mucus, and you can hear my voice sometimes is a little in and out. But other than that, that is it. My fever is pretty low grade. It's usually between 98, 99, and sometimes it reaches 100. It was about 2 days ago, it was more 99 to 100, but it has been reducing. But even though I have that very low grade fever, I haven't been getting those fever chills that usually comes along with fever. So that's one of the things I don't have. The headache also went away after the second day. So it's been very, very, very mild for me. And it's just, again, COVID has really picked up in this area. I know so many people that have it. And again, those who are not vaccinated, they're the ones that I keep on seeing having a little bit more trouble than those who are fully vaccinated, and especially those who are boosted. So, I mean, again, I'm just so thankful we do have the vaccines out there that was able to at least to help with this variant, and hopefully it will continue to help for all of the future ones that might end up popping up in the future, because we're going to be living for this. With this for the rest of our lives, and we're just going to keep on getting smarter and smarter to outsmart this virus.
Yes. Now you were fully boosted. When did you do your booster shot again?
I did my booster, if I remember correctly. I think it was in October when I did it. I was able to get it quite early, because remember at that time I was still working at the health department here, and so definitely took the opportunity to get it as soon as I was able to get it. And I got it the same time I got my flu shot, because we always encourage people, at least here in Florida, to get their flu shot before Halloween. Because, when you take a flu shot, it takes 2 weeks for it to really, does what it needs to do in your body. And so before Halloween, before October 31st, if you think about it, it's the perfect time, because about 2 weeks later is when you have Thanksgiving coming up soon thereafter, and then travel starts to pick up a whole lot more. And so you want to have, the best protection before the travel season really starts to pick on up. And so that's why they choose that time of year. I remember when we were doing our COVID Spotlight series, I was quite surprised that Cayman didn't even receive their flu shots for the island until much later. It was, I think, not until November or so, or even December, before they started to bring in the flu vaccines. And I'm like, they might need to rethink that, because it just makes sense as travel picks up, because we know, especially for the long weekend in November, that a lot of people usually try to travel for. Cayman is not exempt from what's going on in this side of the world.
Yeah, for sure. I do think that, first of all, it's a good thing that you were definitely boosted and fully vaccinated. There was some delay apparently in us receiving the flu vaccine this year. I don't know if it had anything to do with the COVID situation or not. But it just shows you that it's probably only a matter of time that most of us will get this virus. Mm-hmm. And so, our only fighting chance that we're aware of right now, especially with Omicron. Now, I was asking you privately about this. I'll ask you publicly. Mm-hmm. Do you think it's the Omicron variant?
Pretty sure it is, because so I have a really great relationship with my doctor. I'm one of the people that's able to just text him. And so once I tested positive, and I'm a cardiac patient as well, because I have a heart condition called hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. So that puts me a little bit at a higher risk of getting serious illness. And so I have to kind of watch myself a little bit more than people that don't have any health issues going on. But so I texted him as soon as I got my positive test, just to make sure he's updated and see if he wanted me to do the monoclonal antibody therapy. And when he texted me, he asked me a series of questions, and what we end up saying is, no, I didn't really need it. One, because I was fully vaccinated and boosted, and with the Omicron variant, unlike all of the other variants, the monoclonal antibody therapy didn't seem to be working as much, at least at this time. Not to mention that those who are fully vaccinated with this variant seem to be doing pretty well. But he also said during that whole entire conversation that we here in the United States, Omicron is really what everyone is getting based on the genetic sequencing and stuff that they do. They do random sample sizes here. Just about everyone has Omicron, and they're getting very, 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 very few cases of any other type of variant. Now, one of the things that is different about this variant than Delta or the Alpha variant and all the others, the B variant, this variant also lives a little bit more up here, up inside your nasal passages. It doesn't really make its way down into the lungs as much as the previous variants, which is one of the reasons why the illness seems to be less severe and keeping less people out of the hospital. And again, if you're fully vaccinated, it's even much better off for you because you're fighting it much better. So you don't need to be as fearful about it, especially if you're fully vaccinated. It's really just a head cold. I don't have that, those who have had COVID in the past, they had that really nasty, it's almost like a smoker's cough. I didn't have any of that. It's just simply just like a head cold is really what I have. I don't feel extremely exhausted or winded. I don't have any problems like a lot of the other symptoms. I didn't lose my taste really at all, or my sense of smell. It's been very, very mild for me so far. And this is not just what I'm explaining, what I'm going through. I know at least 20 or 30 people in my circle that have it as well. There's so many people that I know that have it right now. Some people, they have it twice. This is the second round with having it, and they're experiencing very, very similar things. Some of them might have a little bit more, like some of them felt like they have a little bit more of a headache that just won't go away, or at times they just feel a little bit more exhausted here and there. I haven't had that, but for the most part, everyone is doing pretty good. The few that I know that just they're the bunch that decide that they're not getting vaccinated, they seem to be a bit knocked down and they're in bed sleeping a whole lot more throughout the day.
Very interesting. Well, Kevin, everybody, Magdalene's so happy to see you. Weeby says we miss you, Kevin. Get well soon. Loretta says Happy New Year, Kevin. So good to see you. People glad to see that you are still out and about. Now, I know that you've been working on a number of things. First of all, congratulations on your new job at USF. How has that been going for you?
It's been really, really great. And one of the things I actually like about it too, because, I live in Lakeland, Florida, but my office was downtown Tampa, which is about 45 minutes commute with no traffic. But when there's traffic, it's a little pushing about an hour or so. And I don't have to necessarily go into the office as much anymore because they allow us to work from home, and unless there's something that I need to be on the campus for to go in there. And so I have a very great boss, and again, I'm working for one of the largest public universities here in the state of Florida, and it's very, very, it's opening up so much more doors for me. I really love working with the university, And it's not just public health, but they have a large school of public health. It's all elements of the University of South Florida of USF. Go Bulls. So yeah, absolutely, I'm having a great time. I'm learning a lot. This position is the media relations manager position, so pretty much I'm responsible for anytime we have a media request that someone from a reporter wants to have an interview with one of our professors on whatever topic, I just connect the two of them. So I have a list or a database with all of the professors and what they're experts in. And so based on the topic that they're looking for, I will find the most appropriate professor or whoever it is to speak with them and connect the dots. So again, if something happens at the university that requires someone to speak on behalf of the university, I'm one of the spokespeople for the university. So it's again just another step up the ladder in what I'm doing as a communication expert, and I'm really loving it and really glad that I got this opportunity.
Okay, sounds good. Well, you're at my alma mater, so when I come to visit, I'll get you to give me a full tour.
Yeah, I mean, from when you were there to what's going on now, it is just so long. I get lost on that campus. Even though before I started working there, we would have different events and stuff there, and I always got lost. And so now that I'm working there, I'm like, I'm trying to figure things out. I always have to pull out the little app or the little map that I keep in my car to try to figure out, okay, how do I get from here to there? And I'm forever pulling on the side and finding the little guy in a golf cart and say, hey, how do I get to this building, or how do I get to this location? Because yeah, it's a huge university that has so many different programs and colleges within the university, and it's continuing to expand. They just announced that they're going to be building a football stadium on the campus as well, and so that's going to be a huge development. They have 5 locations on the campus that they're looking at, and they're going to get a bunch of input from the different community people in the community, the students, and try to figure out, okay, let's pick out of these 5 locations exactly where it's going to be, and they're hoping within the next 2 to 3 years that project will be completed, so they don't have to play at the Raymond James, which is where the Buccaneers currently play.
Interesting. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to post-COVID. There will be no life post-COVID, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Living
with COVID, that I can definitely make a trip on campus. Like I'm trying to visually figure out where stuff is going. Like when you say stadium, I'm like, there's room for a stadium there, but maybe they've acquired.
They have a lot of land surrounding areas. Some of it's reserved for nature. Some of it is reserved for future developments. And so they have an idea if it's going to be student housing or if it's going to be, again, a football stadium and other things. Because, the campus is huge. They do have a lot of land and the ability to buy some more land that's nearby that I know that they are always looking at making sure that they are, doing whatever is going to bring success to the USF community.
Awesome. All right. Well, Kevin, so good to see you for the new year. Get some rest, and we hope that you recover fully from your COVID situation. And, I guess right now your body just needs the rest. And I'm sure you're doing your oxygen levels. You're checking those on a regular basis.
Yeah, I got my pulse oximeter. And so I always, I've been checking it. And for me, I've been stuck at 98. That's my magic number. It seems like it really does not fluctuate beyond that. I've been checking my temperature a few times a day. And the next thing that I've been doing, which, people need to also do, is force themselves to, even if they don't feel as good, to get some direct sunlight. So, take a little walk outside, get that fresh air, and the less clothes you have on, the better, really, because you want that sun to get in all in your body. So if you could go out there with some shorts and a t-shirt or no shirt, depending on where you live and stuff, you go on out and get that direct sunlight, because that vitamin D definitely does help when you're sick and stuff. So that's one of the things.
Open up the windows, air out the place and stuff as well.
Yep, keep your windows open. And this time of year, right now, it's so beautiful outside. You don't even need to run your AC here right now, because we have a little bit of a cold front that's outside. So it is really comfortable temperatures right now. Yesterday, you following me on my Facebook page, you saw I took a little picture of me outside, and it was so beautiful. The skies were beautiful. It was nice and bright, and the temperature it wasn't hot, it wasn't cold, it was just right.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. All right, Kevin, thank you so much. We appreciate the update. And again, sorry to hear about your COVID diagnosis, but I'm glad that you're pretty much okay. Fully vaccinated, folks, got his booster shot early, and he's okay. Nothing more than probably what just feels like a cold.
Absolutely. Everyone, Happy New Year. We'll certainly see each other again very soon.
Sounds good. All right. Somebody said, Kevin, don't get arrested for nudity or indecent exposure. No, he said wear shorts and a shirt. So wear some clothes. But yes, spend some time outside if you can, soaking up some natural vitamin D. All right, my good people. That's it. I'm just having a look here to see if anything else is on my radar. No, I think that's it. All right, so we'll get everything sorted out for tomorrow's show. You guys have a wonderful evening, so tune in. Now, this evening, I'm just confirming with the Premier. I'm making sure that nothing else has popped up on his schedule. So we're hoping to have him on for a Premier Access segment at 7 o'clock. So normally he's here from 7 to 9. So I'm going to check in with him and make sure that that's all a go, because it snuck up on me, so I'm sure it probably snuck up on him as well. I'll post it up shortly, so make sure that you tune in at 7. And then we'll have our CMR Daily Buzz, which is our daily news segment, uploaded a bit later on in the evening as well. You guys have a fantastic day.
The Cold Hard Truth now has your Premier Access with Premier Panton.
Hello everyone, this is Wayne Panton. Come and join me on Cayman Mall Road's Premier Access every other Wednesday at 7 p.m. for a frank and open Q&A session. I'm here to answer your questions about the issues that concern you the most. Tune into YouTube and Facebook Live on Wednesday. We will see you there.
Full transparency, answering your questions, down to earth, accountable, and accessible to who matters. You. Don't miss Premier Access on the Cold Hard Truth, spilling the tea like no one else.
Thank you for tuning in to another edition of the Cold Hard Truth. Make sure to check Facebook for showtimes and more information and the latest news at CaymanMarlRoad.com. Subscribe to our IG and Facebook pages to get the latest happenings.